12 sacred words of Saint Benedict revealed for divine financial deliverance in 7 days. In the heart of a quaint English village, Sarah knelt at her kitchen table, her hands entwined with her children's as they whispered their nightly prayers. Their simple home was a sanctuary, yet outside shadows loomed, the ticking clock of debt echoing louder with each passing day. "Help us, dear Lord," she breathed, her heart heavy with despair. Each evening they turned to their beloved patron saints, hoping for a glimmer of divine intervention. One fateful afternoon, Sarah ventured to the local chapel, a sacred haven steeped in centuries of whispered prayers. As the golden rays of the setting sun streamed through the stained glass, she stumbled upon a dusty, ancient manuscript tucked away in a forgotten alcove. The words it contained shimmered with promise, the 12 sacred words of Saint Benedict. At that moment, an inexplicable warmth enveloped her, igniting hope within her heart. Returning home, she treated these sacred words like a precious treasure. "We will pray for deliverance," she declared, gathering her children close. They repeated these words with faith that sent ripples through the air. Miraculously, small signs of approval began to appear. A handwritten note from a neighbor offering assistance, and unexpected kindnesses that made the burdens feel lighter. However, within days, skepticism crept in. Family members questioned her unwavering commitment to the sacred words. Is this really going to help? They wondered aloud, their doubts swirling like dark clouds over her. Every job application met rejection, deepening her sense of desperation. What had once been sheer faith now twisted into gnawing doubt that clawed at her resolve. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. One evening, Sarah found herself kneeling at the altar, her children beside her, surrounded by the flickering candlelight. The air was thick with the murmurs of the congregation, their prayers rising like incense toward the heavens. Just as bread and wine had transformed at the Last Supper, something shifted in that chapel. A stirring presence enveloped the room, filling hearts with a divine sense of purpose. Sudden gasps resounded as whispers of faith and collective hope harmonized. As if summoned, the atmosphere thickened, and Sarah felt her spirit rise. In that moment, the power of the sacred words radiated profoundly.
Tears of joy brimmed in her eyes. An inexplicable peace washed over her like the gentle ebb of the sea. Could it be? Was this the awakening she so desperately sought? Hope lit the eyes of her children, mingling with the dreams of each gathered villager. Remarkably, a quiet understanding blossomed. Perhaps the promise of restoration was not just for Sarah alone. In sharing her journey, could this humble mother spark a transformation that redefined faith itself? As the candles flickered low, an undeniable tension hung in the air, begging to be unraveled. Would Sarah's unyielding belief and the sacred words yield the financial deliverance she longed for, or was there an even grander revelation awaiting discovery? The community stood poised on the brink of something extraordinary, questioning if the hand of divine provision reached deeper than they ever imagined. The following days unfolded with a gentle urgency. Each morning, Sarah awoke with a quiet anticipation. The air felt different. It was filled with possibility and divine whispers. At breakfast, she encouraged her children. "Let's recite our sacred words before we start our day." They cupped their hands together, eyes closed, their voices mingling in the warm light of the dawning sun. As the words flowed from their lips, a soft, glowing warmth enveloped them, reminding Sarah of the sacred embrace she had felt in the chapel. An almost tangible hope wrapped around her family, like a well-worn blanket on a chilly evening. But with every flicker of faith, the shadows still lingered. Bills piled on the table, constant reminders of their struggles. One afternoon, a knock at the door drew Sarah from her thoughts. Emily, the village postwoman, stood on the doorstep, her apron dusted with flour from a recent bake. "I brought some loaves for you," she said, her smile bright and warm. "And please, don't hesitate to ask if you need anything else." Tears welled in Sarah's eyes as gratitude filled her heart. In the chaos of her worries, she had forgotten that the village community was her strength. As she accepted the bread, she could almost hear the sacred words echoing, reminding her of generosity and kindness that often returned to uplift. Yet doubts still threatened her resolve. Am I asking too much? She wondered, brushing her hands across the floury surface of the table. Every time she spoke the sacred words, she questioned their power. What was she really doing? Was faith enough?
That evening at the chapel, Sarah felt the collective spirit of the villagers. They gathered in prayer, and together they recited the sacred words. It was a tapestry of hope woven with soft whispers and heartfelt longs for deliverance. She turned to her children, their faith sparked like tiny flames in the darkened space. Just then the priest stepped forward, his voice steady and gold like the candles that flickered in tandem. "Beloved children of God," he began, "faith is like the smallest seed.
It is ever potent, even in the valley of doubt. Trust in the miracles, whether seen or unseen. Let us remember, in our darkest hours, the Lord never abandons us." A gentle chorus of amens rippled through the chapel, and in that moment, Sarah's heart lightened. Could this congregation be the very embodiment of the financial deliverance they sought? Were they not all prayerfully dusting their arms, preparing to toil in faith together? The following days flowed like a river of grace. Neighbors increasingly reached out, offering help and resources. One man even stopped by to lay down an employment opportunity he had discovered, proclaiming, "You are not alone in this fight, Sarah." The community rallied. Yet, amidst the growing support, an inkling of fear gripped her heart. Were they becoming dependent on others instead of trusting in God's providence? Every kindness, while welcomed, tugged at her spirit, reminding her of the vulnerability she deeply felt. On the 7th day after first reciting the sacred words, Sarah awoke to a crisp morning breeze whispering through her window. Today marked a culmination, a promise awaited. She gathered her children once more, a quiet excitement lacing the air. They nestled together on their living room floor, ready to recite their prayer for one last time. As they spoke the sacred words, a gentle light radiated around them, bathing the room in warmth. Was it the sun, or something more? The atmosphere turned electric, full of blessings and possibilities. But just as doubt had once crept into her heart, a question lingered in the air now, a divine mystery unfolding that she could not shake off. What exactly was God preparing for them? What miracle awaited just beyond the horizon? As the last word fell from their tongues, a knock echoed through their home once more. Sarah's heart raced. What now? Who could it be? With her children by her side, she felt their spirits aligned with hers, ready for whatever blessing awaited. But would it be enough to transform their struggles into the testimony she longed to share? The door creaked open. Standing at the threshold, Sarah paused for a heartbeat, her breath catching in her throat. The door opened, revealing a figure cloaked in shadow, yet there was something undeniably familiar about him. As the sunlight streamed behind him, illuminating the dusty outlines of his features, she recognized him instantly. It was Gabriel, the old man from the village who often spoke of angels and miracles. "Greetings, Sarah," he smiled, his voice carrying a depth of warmth that sent ripples of hope through her heart. "I sensed you were awaiting a moment of revelation." Her pulse quickened with a mingling of excitement and uncertainty. "Gabriel, I didn't expect to see you here. We've been yearning, I know," he interrupted gently. "But now is the time for divine providence to reveal itself. May I come in?" Sarah moved aside, allowing him to enter. The atmosphere felt charged, alive with a resonance she couldn't ignore. Her children watched curiously, their innocent hearts capturing the gravity of this encounter. "Today marks the 7th day," he began as he settled himself into their modest living room, the light refracting softly around him. "A day of promise. You have spoken the sacred words, haven't you?" "Yes," she replied, her voice steady despite the flutter of anxiety in her chest. "We have prayed together, and the community has answered our call for help." Gabriel nodded knowingly. "The seeds of faith you've sown are sprouting all around you. But understand this. Miracles often arrive unknown to our senses. They dance in the silence and the unseen." He leaned in closer, his eyes sparkling with a light of their own. "Your doubts have been valid, my dear, but know they can only strengthen your spirit. Sometimes God prepares a feast in the presence of our enemies." His gaze drifted to the scattered bills on the table, and Sarah felt a pinch in her heart. Suddenly, Gabriel continued, "I have been sent to guide you towards an opportunity for something extraordinary. Your faith must now transform into action." Before she could ask, he reached into his cloak and pulled out a small bundle wrapped in a faded cloth. He placed it on the table, unraveling it to reveal a brass key, worn and intricate. "This holds the answer you have been seeking." "A key?" Sarah echoed, confusion rippling through her. "To what?" "To a storehouse of blessings that await you.
Yet it requires you to take a step beyond your comfort, to trust in the journey ahead. It brings not just financial deliverance, but also a deeper revelation of your purpose. Will you hold on to fear, or will you embrace faith? The room hung with tension, her children glancing back and forth, their loyalty to her faith evident. Sarah's heart raced, but a whisper urged her to look beyond what she could see. "And what if I fail?" she finally asked, vulnerability slipping into her tone. "Failure, dear Sarah, is merely a stepping stone to growth. Let your heart be your compass. The key will lead you to a door opening onto the divine. The choice is yours." As she held the key in her hand, warmth flooded through her fingers, a tangible reassurance that reverberated in her soul. She could almost hear another murmur of the sacred words echoing around her, urging her to trust in this unfolding mystery. Feeling a mix of fear and anticipation, Sarah pressed her eyes shut, imagining what lay ahead. What kind of faith did she need to unlock this next chapter? When she opened her eyes, Gabriel had vanished into the light, leaving only the lingering sense of wisdom and hope in the air. The children exchanged puzzled glances, but Sarah's heart was steadying, warmed by assurance. "Let us gather," she said, gathering them close. Poised at the edge of the mystery revealed, a new question ignited a fire in her heart.
Where would this key lead them, and what divine treasures lay just beyond that door? As they recited the sacred words anew, the air thickened with expectation. The divine call echoed, ready to engage, ready to transform. But what shadows lingered beyond the key that held opportunity? What awaited them on the other side? With the newly found key resting in her palm, Sarah felt an inconceivable pull towards the unknown realm that awaited her. The golden hue of the fading sun cast an ethereal glow across the room, hinting at the divine possibilities that lay just out of reach. Her heart pounded as she thought of her family, their needs growing heavier with the weight of each passing day. In that sacred moment, she recognized the urgent call of faith beckoning her onward. "Mom, where did he go?" her daughter Lily asked, curiosity brightening her young face. "Maybe he's watching over us," her son David replied earnestly, clutching his sister's hand. Their innocent wonder stirred something deep within Sarah. She understood that this was not just her journey, it was theirs, that of a family striving for hope. "He gave us a key," she whispered, "and we have a choice to make. Can we open the door now?" David's eyes sparkled, an adventurous light shining through the hint of worry. With gathering courage, Sarah said, "Not just yet. We must first prepare our hearts." She ushered them to the small table cluttered with family photos and stray dishes. "Let's pray together." As they huddled close, her children's voices mingled with hers, raising the sacred words that had become their anthem of hope. Each syllable wrapped around them, comforting, invigorating, as if summoning the loving presence of the divine. The gentle warmth filled the room like a soft embrace. Sarah felt a sense of clarity wash over her, an internal shift igniting the depths of her spirit. "Let your heart be your compass," echoed in her mind, a reminder to trust in the unfolding mystery. A soft tapping interrupted her thoughts. It was a rhythmic sound, persistent yet gentle, as if the universe itself sought her attention. Sarah turned toward the door, where a familiar faceless energy beckoned her to approach. "Is it him again?" Lily asked, exhilaration filling her voice. Sarah nodded, taking a deliberate step toward the door, key in hand. "I believed it is, but let's not rush. We should be guided by faith, not fear." As she reached for the handle, a sudden wave of doubt struck her like an unexpected wind. What lay beyond? Was it truly a treasure? What if it brought heartache instead? But then she remembered Gabriel's words. Miracles often arrive unknown to our senses. Courage surged within her, emboldening her once more. She inserted the key slowly, feeling its contours, each twist of the metal promising discovery. The door creaked open, revealing a shimmering light that filled the ether with a golden radiance, transformative and luminous. "Wow!" exclaimed David, his voice barely above a whisper. Stepping into the brightness, Sarah was enveloped in a sacral space. Before her was a sprawling landscape, abundant and rich with every conceivable blessing. Healing waters flowed nearby, fruits hung heavy on trees, and golden fields stretched as far as her dreamlike eyes could perceive. But within the bounty lay mystery, for there were figures roaming in the distance. Some seemed joyful, while others lingered with frowns, shadows draping over them like cloaks of hesitation. Sarah's heart raced. What did this mean for her family? "Where do we begin?" Lily asked, her innocent faith striking a chord within Sarah's heart. "As we've always done," Sarah replied, determination blazing anew. "We pray. We move forward with faith and open our hearts to the blessings awaiting us."
Each step deeper into this sacred land felt like a divine outreach, and as they moved, she spotted a figure in the distance shimmering with a familiar light. Could it be Gabriel? At that moment, Sarah knew she was not alone. Divine providence accompanied them, ready to unveil blessings and opportunities only prayer and faith could unlock. Would they accept the challenge ahead, embracing all that was to come? As she turned to her children, she saw hope mirrored in their eyes, and together they stepped forward, hands intertwined, ready to discover the promise that awaited. But would they face the shadows of fear and doubt before finding their light? The journey was just beginning. With each step into the shimmering landscape, Sarah felt her spirit lift. The air was different here, charged with a sense of possibility. She looked around at the vibrant colors, the lush greens, the blues that danced like calm waters under a benevolent sun, and hues of gold that whispered of blessings. It was breathtaking, a testament to the Creator's splendor. "Mom," Lily pulled at her sleeve, "look at those people. Why do some smile while others don't?" Sarah held her breath for a moment. The innocence of her question held profound weight. There was a truth here that transcended appearance. "Sometimes it's what's inside that makes a person shine or sigh," she answered softly, conscious of the lesson woven into their journey. They stepped closer to the joyful figures. Beaming faces illuminated with warmth greeted them, a momentary glimpse of heaven. "Welcome," one of them called, arms wide open as if to gather them in. "We are the seekers of light, filled with faith and love." As they exchanged smiles, Sarah noticed the group surrounding a pool of crystalline water. It glistened like the finest jewel, its surface undisturbed, yet within lay depth and promise. "What is this?" David asked, mesmerized. "A well of prayers," the joyful one replied. "It holds the hopes and dreams of those who dare to believe. Come, drink, and let your hearts be stirred." Murmurs swept through Sarah's soul. A well of prayers.
Suddenly, memories of night vigils and whispered supplications flooded her mind. This was the very essence of faith, a well filled with connection, courage, and a longing for divine intervention. "Is it really okay?" Sarah hesitated, glancing at her children. "Mom," Lily's eyes sparkled, "we've come so far. Let's believe." Kneeling before the pool, Sarah cupped her hands, scooping the cool water. As it touched her lips, warmth enveloped her the moment she swallowed. A wave of peace washed over, calming her restless spirit. She felt love enveloping her, a tangible embrace from the divine, assuring her that they were exactly where they needed to be. "Can I try?" David's voice quivered with eagerness, leaning forward eagerly. One by one, her children drank from the well, their laughter mingling with trust. It was a divine moment, a cherished tableau of faith united. But as they relished the experience, shadows at the edge of the horizon called to Sarah. The figures lingering in doubt were more than just distant apparitions. They represented fears that still clung to her heart. Were they too far gone to comprehend the same abundance she felt here? "Why do you hesitate?" asked the joyful figure, stepping closer, as if sensing her turmoil. "Do not be swayed by shadows. Clarity is found in your faith, not in your doubts." Sarah nodded, but felt the weight of the struggle within. "I'm afraid. What if it leads to disappointment?" "Disappointment is not the end. It is often a stepping stone," he replied with a reassuring smile. "Faith is developed through trials. The divine waits for your courage to break through." His words rippled through her, arousing a flicker of resolve. Perhaps it wasn't just about the blessings they sought, but also how they wielded their faith in times of uncertainty. "Gather your family," he urged. "Together create a circle of love and purpose. You have the strength within you. Let it come forth." As Sarah grasped her children's hands, she felt a surge of unity, a shared heartbeat of faith bound together. They stood against the shadows, leaning into the warmth of their collective hope, ready to take the next step. "Let's pray together for each step we take," she declared, her voice steady with newfound conviction. As they bowed their heads, a whisper of wind danced around them, lifting their spirits higher into an unfolding destiny. But would they find the courage not only to embrace the light ahead, but to confront the shadows that lingered behind? The sacred journey was calling, and the answers awaited just beyond the horizon. As they stood in the embrace of prayer, a palpable energy enveloped them, stirring their hearts.
The gentle whisper of the wind felt like a soft hymn sung by the skies, ushering in a sweet anticipation. There was a sacred promise woven through their unity, a promise that spoke of strength beyond their understanding. In the stillness, Sarah felt a flicker of hope take root.
The shadows that had haunted her thoughts began to feel distant, as if the water of the well had washed them away. "We are surrounded by love," she murmured, and her children echoed her sentiment in wide-eyed wonder. A new voice, softer yet resonating with authority, floated towards them. "Faith is like a seed. It must be nurtured to grow." The source of the voice emerged from the crowd, a woman radiating warmth, as if sunlight poured from her very being. "This journey requires your commitment. Will you plant it in good soil?" Questions danced in Sarah's mind, but the desire to know blossomed into clarity. "How do we nurture it?" "By sharing, by spreading the love you receive," the woman replied, her eyes gleaming with encouragement. "The light shines brighter when it reflects off our hearts. Tell your stories. Let others drink from your well." Exhilaration sparked in Sarah's heart. It dawned on her that this wasn't a mere destination. It was a journey of sharing grace, weaving faith into the tapestry of others' lives. She looked at Lily and David, their faces aglow with enthusiasm. "We can do this together," she whispered, feeling the stirring of purpose vibrate within their circle. The joyful figure from earlier stepped forward again. "What will be your offering, then? What do you want your faith to cultivate?" "Hope," David exclaimed, and Lily nodded. "Joy! Yes, both," Sarah added, her voice rising. "We want to see hearts transformed, like ours." The figures around them nodded, whispers of encouragement reverberating in the air. The warmth of their connection felt alive, creating a web between each heart that was present. "Remember," the woman said gently, "faith grows best in community, and love knows no bounds. Embrace those who hesitate. We are all fellow travelers on this sacred path." With renewed determination, Sarah held her children's hands tighter, building a fortress of faith around them. Their small circle of prayer now expanded into an invitation, entreating the distant figures of doubt to come closer. "Join us," she called out, her voice steady. "Let faith nurture your hearts." Slowly but surely, the hesitant souls stepped forward. Sarah's heart swelled. The shadows of fear that once lurked nearby began to dissipate with every additional soul included in their circle. Together, they formed a radiant archway of connection, a living testament to the beauty and vulnerability. In that divine moment, Sarah realized the shadows had only served to guide her. They brought her to a deeper understanding of her mission. This journey was not solely for her family, or even herself. It was a collective quest to foster faith in the hearts of all around them. As they stood in prayer, a deep sense of peace descended upon them. They felt at one with the universe, as if they were part of a grander story, one that stretched beyond their own lives.
But just as they began to feel the wrap of peace settle around them, a rumble echoed from the horizon. Thicker shadows stirred, shifting ominously in the distance. Would they have enough belief, enough courage to withstand the tide that threatened their sacred space? The journey was far from over, and new challenges loomed like storm clouds on the horizon. The air changed. A thick tension enveloped the group, wrapping around them like a sudden chill. Sarah's heart pounded as she tried to understand the rumbling in the distance, the shadows now swirling closer, dark and foreboding. The peace they felt moments ago was now at risk of being overshadowed by uncertainty. "This is our moment," she thought to herself, drawing strength from the warmth of her children's hands. They had been preparing for times like this, trials that aimed to test the very fabric of faith. "We have to hold on to what we've created," she whispered, her voice steady despite the storm. As the figures around them fidgeted restlessly, the woman who had spoken earlier stepped forward, her countenance unwavering. "Remember," she said, her voice clear above the growing din, "the strongest storms serve to reveal the foundations we build upon. What you've nurtured within your hearts cannot be easily swept away." Lily looked up at her mother, eyes brimming with questions, but also a flicker of resolve. "Mom, will we really be okay?" "Of course we will, sweetie," Sarah reassured her, trying to convey confidence. "We're not alone in this. We have each other and the love that binds us." David chimed in, "And we have our faith." His declaration, innocent yet profound, echoed through the group, igniting a spark of strength. "Let's share our stories. Let's remind each other of all the good God has done for us." The crowd began to murmur, hearts rallying around the children's simple truths. Sarah could feel the tide of faith shifting, the shadows hesitating in the light of their unity. Each person around them recalled moments of divine intervention in their lives, when hope had flooded their despair, healing had overcome suffering, or love had triumphed over fear.
Together, we're stronger, the woman urged, her eyes radiating warmth and encouragement as she turned to the collective. Share your victories. Each story is a light that can pierce through the darkest fears. As voices rose in a chorus of testimonies, the din of the approaching storm began to fade into the background. Sarah could see the hesitant souls step forward, emboldened. One by one, they recounted encounters with grace, experiences that fueled their faith, the miraculous provisions during times of need, reconciliation after conflict, peace in the midst of chaos. Tears streamed down faces, a witness to the transformation occurring in that sacred space. It was as if each shared story forged an armor against the encroaching shadows, wrapping them in a cocoon of divine love. Hope was now an avalanche, snowballing in its impact.
But just as they reveled in the warmth of shared faith, a thunderous clap echoed, reverberating around them. The ground trembled underfoot. The flickering flames of their gathering dimmed momentarily, casting long shadows. The woman raised her hands, directing the crowd's attention. This moment is pivotal. It calls for clarity and strength. Will you stand firm even now? The question hung heavy in the air, and deep within the hearts of those gathered, a flicker of doubt may have lingered. Yet amidst the growing storm, there was an undeniable pulse of courage surging through them, as if the very earth beneath was crying out for them to rise. "We have the love that binds us," Sarah declared, voice reverberating with a new vigor. "We will withstand. We'll grow stronger in this." Just as resolve began to root itself, the shadows surged forward, their density threatening to engulf the bright tapestry they had woven. Now Sarah faced a crucial truth that stirred deep within. As powerful as their unity was, could it prove strong enough against the rolling tide of darkness? The echoes of fear blended ominously with hope as they braced for what came next. Would their combined faith hold firm against this spiritual tempest? Uncertainty loomed, yet within that uncertainty lay a spark of divine possibility. The shadows swirled as if they were alive, creeping closer to the gathering, hungry for the light they radiated. Sarah could feel the shivers racing down her spine, a mix of fear and determination ignited within her. Each heartbeat felt like a summon within the chaos, urging her to cling tightly to her faith. "Feel the love around you," she whispered, not only to her children, but to all who gathered, her voice steadier now. "Feel it and let it fill the cracks of doubt." The woman with unwavering conviction stepped forward again, her presence magnetic. "Brothers and sisters," she called, her voice resonating like a bell. "We have weathered storms before. Have we not witnessed our loved ones lifted from despair? Have we not seen the miraculous unfold in our lives? In unity, we find strength." One by one, faces brightened, their spirits lifting like wings unfurling against the darkened sky. Murmurs turned into affirmations, echoing through the air, fields of faith transforming the terrain beneath their feet. The depths of collective hope pushed back against the darkness, tethering them to something far greater than themselves. Sarah could see old John at the edge of the group, his lined face a map of trials endured. "I remember," he said, voice shaking but resolute. "When I lost everything, my family and my job, it was my faith that carried me through. God provided in ways I did not expect. I stood in the waiting, and He delivered." The spirit within the gathering thickened, charged with testimony after testimony. Sarah felt warmth spread through her heart. It was as if the very air brewed with divine energy.
There was a brother's tale of healing, a sister's recount of forgiveness that brought her family back together. Each story glimmered like a star bursting through the blanket of night. "Yes," Sarah roared with newfound vigor, "God is still here. Let us banish fear with our voices. Let us lift up what He has done, and through that light the path ahead." As they raised their voices in unison, shining tales of triumph echoed. Yet amidst this chorus, the ground trembled again, and the darkness pressed in, an ominous reminder of the external chaos. "Together, as one, we stand against this storm," the woman proclaimed, anchoring them in belief. Her arms opened wide, inviting everyone to join a circle of hope, an ever-strong chain. Sarah took Lily and David's hands, feeling their warmth, and linked up with those around her. Hearts beat as if one, pulsing, vibrant, alive. She could feel the collective energy swell, a tangible force weaving bonds of love that glimmered against despair. "This is it," someone shouted. and as they began to roar praises, the shadows wavered slightly, flickering like a faulty light bulb. "The way ahead is lit by the stories of his goodness," he cried. "Keep telling your stories," urged another with fervor, tears tracing the paths down her cheeks. "We will not let the darkness overshadow us." As the praises rose higher, the shadows clutched tighter, ceasing the bright light from fully breaking through. Sarah's heart raced with an urgent knowing. They were standing on the edge of something magnificent. "If we lose heart now, what of all we have shared?" she thought desperately. "No, this spark must turn to a flame. We are here for such a time as this." With one final surge of collective faith, they shouted words of praise, an anthem of resilience piercing the storm. But deep within Sarah's heart, she knew this was a turning point. The storm may have threatened them, but their communion had forged an unbreakable bond. They could reshape what was happening before them, perhaps silencing the shadows altogether. Would their combined faith be enough to hold back the shadows, or were they on the brink of a greater revelation yet to come? As their voices rose higher, merging into a powerful chorus, Sarah felt a shift in the air around them. The shadows trembled, flickering like stars caught in a storm. They weren't merely standing against darkness. They were creating a sanctuary of divine light. One couldn't help but be overcome by the mystery of that moment. "Keep your eyes on the light," the woman called out, her arms still extended wide, welcoming each spirit to step closer. "We are vessels of his magnification. Let his glory shine through us." Sarah felt her heart swell, hope blossoming like flowers after rain. The children beside her clung tightly to her hands, their small faces a mixture of apprehension and budding faith.
Lily's blue eyes sparkled with wonder as she glanced at the crowd, while David, ever the protector, stood slightly in front of them. The ground trembled again, but this time it was different. There was a pulse, a rhythm connecting them, as if the earth itself was rejoicing in their faith. Sarah closed her eyes, taking a deep breath, welcoming the warmth that radiated from so many faithful hearts surrounding her. Then came the voice of an elderly woman, trembling yet unwavering. "I've seen the heavens open in my toughest days," she cried. "When I had nothing but the clothes on my back, the Spirit of God filled my spirit. I was never alone." Each declaration birthed heavenly echoes, filling the air with a divine fragrance, the fragrance of victory, and the shadows curled and shrank back. Sarah's spirit soared with every word shared, every praise lifted, each heartbeat synchronized like the thumping wings of angels dancing above. And then, like a gentle waterfall, came the quiet voice of a young man, hesitant at first. "I've battled my doubts," he started, his words wrapped in vulnerability. "But when my sister was healed, I knew God had not abandoned us." The congregation held its breath, a moment suspended in time, as hope welled up within them, urging even the faintest of hearts to join in. Words spilled forth, reverberating like ripples on a peaceful lake, each story a testament against the darkness. "Love conquers hate," shouted someone from the back, and the crowd echoed back with fervor. "We declare it! Healing is ours! Fear departs!" With every shout, the shadows recoiled tighter and tighter, until they seemed barely a whisper against the mountain of faith that loomed. Sarah felt a flood of gratitude sweep over her, sweet, divine, unmistakable. Each story was a branch reaching toward the heavens, every heart thudding in sync, not just for themselves, but for all who had ever felt lost. "Let us stand on the promises of his word," the woman declared once more, her voice shaking yet fierce. "The storm may rage, but we are not shaken. Our hope is anchored in him." As if summoned by her words, a brilliant light cascaded through the gathering. It flickered like sunlight unshakable, illuminating faces filled with awe and wonder. "We are on the brink! We can see it!" shouted someone, and soon the crowd echoed vigorously, clapping, stomping their feet, igniting a rhythm that had the very sky trembling. But even as hope surged like a tide, shadows were still lurking at the edges. In a sudden silence, hearts stilled, and Sarah felt the tension. Faith shivered along her spine. "What will break the chains? What is calling us to step beyond?" she pondered, a question flooding her. The flickering light trembled, casting long shadows around them, yet at that moment, Sarah sensed something deeper yet to be revealed, waiting just beyond their collective faith. They would need to dig deeper,
to hold the line tighter, and to comprehend what God sought to manifest. What awaited them in this sacred encounter? What might unfold when they fully surrendered to the call of divine revelation? The atmosphere was electric, buzzing with the raw energy of faith and uncertainty. Sarah stood at the heart of it all, her spirit trembling with anticipation. What lay ahead? As the shadows loomed around, the light within her flickered brightly, urging her to stand firm. "Listen, everyone," she called, her voice steady, breaking through the murmurs of doubt. "We have journeyed together, shared our stories, and now it's time for our collective faith to ignite the fires of boldness." Tension hung palpably in the air, but those words resonated like a clarion call. The crowd's eyes glimmered with determination, hearts swelling with purpose. A ripple of energy swept through them, igniting courage and hope. "Together we rise," came a shout from the back. "Together we shine." The chorus grew, echoing back against the encroaching shadows. With each echo, Sarah's heart surged, filled with longing for victory over the doubts haunting them all. Just then, the woman from before stepped forward, her presence calming yet encouraging. "Every ounce of doubt is brushed away by belief. We stand as one, and as one, we are unstoppable." Yes, Sarah felt the truth of that. The unity formed in vulnerability could weather any storm. Their combined stories unfolded a truth that could not be overshadowed by fear. With new fervor, they stepped together, a sea of faith surging forward, confronting the darkness head-on. "Let us remind the shadows of what breathes life into our souls," Sarah shouted, her voice ringing with conviction, the warmth of hope radiating from the group. As they pressed on, the swirling shadows began to shift and churn uneasily, struggling against the incandescent light bursting forth from the gathering. "Your faith cannot be contained," the woman declared, embracing the moment. "Let love rise," Sarah called out. "Let testimony scream louder than despair." And as if in response to the fervent cries, bolts of light cascaded downward, illuminating the dark corners of the world around them. It was a dance of divinity, a beautiful manifestation that seemed to echo back to the very dawn of creation. The shadows hesitated, now unsure of themselves. "We are not afraid," someone shouted, and the chorus of voices became a tidal wave crashing against the remnants of doubt. With every proclamation, Sarah felt chains break loose. Fear crumbled beneath the weight of devotion, and the atmosphere shifted. A resolve washed over them, weaving a tapestry of courage and strength. "Faith does not stand alone," the joyful woman declared. "It walks hand in hand with action." It was a powerful reminder, a heartbeat that resonated deeply within Sarah's core.
In that crucial moment, she realized that surrendering to the divine call was not just about waiting for miracles. It was about stepping into the unknown, actively engaging with hope. "We must act on what we believe," Sarah shouted, urgency pulsing through her words. "We must share this light with others." Hand in hand, they forged a path through the darkness, their faith becoming a beacon of hope for all who had felt lost. They moved closer to the gradually dissipating shadows, and as light poured forth from their gathered hearts, Sarah knew that no shadow could withstand such faith. "We refuse to retreat," they roared, voices rising in unison. "We proclaim abundance. We claim peace. We declare deliverance." And then, in a moment that felt suspended in time, every gesture of doubt, they all bowed before the power of unity. The darkness withdrew, fading into the haze, unable to withstand the brilliance of what was unfolding. Sarah's heart soared, tears streamed down her face as she witnessed the miraculous transformation before her. The burdens that had weighed heavily lifted, as a shimmering light, glistening with purpose, enveloped them in shared triumph. Together they had manifested miracles through faith and action. "Look around," the woman exclaimed, her joy palpable. "Miracles are not only what we seek, but what we now hold between us. Every shared story, every moment of vulnerability has summoned these blessings." Cheers erupted, serving as a rallying cry for all. Shadows had been displaced. They had risen above fear, filled to the brim with gratitude that flowed among them like a river of divine promises. As the crowd celebrated, Sarah felt the tangible presence of God, the warmth engulfing her, the whispers of love cascading down. Her children clasped her hands tighter, their eyes illuminated by joy. They stood as part of something much greater than themselves,
a patchwork of faith interwoven with the divine. In that sacred moment, Sarah knew this journey had not been in vain. They had faced trials, doubts, and fears, yet they had emerged more resilient and unified. Their trials had polished their faith, revealing a radiant tapestry of hope that stretched beyond their own dreams. With hearts entwined, they merged into the light, exclaiming gratitude and testimonies to share with the world. The evening faded toward twilight, but the light within them burned brightly, a testament to the steadfast grace that would guide their steps ahead. This miracle, born from collective faith, would sustain them even in the hardest of days. They no longer faced shadows alone. Together they had discovered the power of love, light, and unwavering faith. As night fell, the stars began to twinkle above, an eternal reminder of guidance, blessings unnumbered, shimmering against the vast expanse of heaven.
And so, with their hands clasped together, hearts beating in rhythm, Sarah and her children whispered sweet prayers of gratitude, ready to celebrate the divine transformation that ushered forth, and embracing the journey yet to come. Now, beloved brothers and sisters, this is your moment to act. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive faith stories. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment below your reactions and testimonies about this incredible ending. Your voice matters. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this manifestation. Only true servants of God understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. Be the light for others.